Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 Takeaways episode from the Taylor Wesley episode and interview this past Monday. I have been getting so much great feedback from this interview with Taylor. I mean, everybody's talking about how vulnerable she's able to be, how almost everybody is having these sorts of problems, this sort of negative self-talk, this sort of anxiety in our world today, and very little of us, or very few of us, are able to openly communicate about it with others. And for her to do it in a setting like this where a lot of people are going to hear her, it's really courageous for her to be able to tell her story at such a young age after all that she's been through. So I think the power of vulnerability and the power of opening up to others is so important. And I'm really glad that you guys got that from Taylor. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at Taylor Wesley Wellness and check out her website, www.taylorwesleywellness.com. She's got so much great stuff coming out, and I hope you guys are looking forward to seeing more from her. But let's go ahead and get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is leave what if off the table. She talked about this in regards to the decision to choosing sobriety. She wanted to make sure that she gave it a try and that she could work through it rather than just going through life wondering if she actually had addiction or wondering would this be the right decision to choosing sobriety? And I think a lot of us have these sorts of decisions to make on a daily basis. Yeah, they might not be as crucial as choosing sobriety, but a lot of us are fearful of making decisions because we're like, what if we fail? What if somebody's going to judge us? What else is somebody going to say? But the reality of the situation is that we're more regretful in life when we don't decide to do things or we leave things off the table and don't try something new rather than if we actually try something and fail at it. We're much more regretful not trying than having tried and actually failed. So make sure you leave what if off the table. And if you feel passionate about something, go after it, give it a try. Number 2 is be honest with yourself. Taylor was at this rehab center, a recovery center, for about 6 weeks before she actually opened up to the other individuals with her and was able to admit to them that she was having this problem. And she really wasn't able to admit to herself that she was having this problem. And only when she was able to communicate and verbalize this outside of her own head and to everybody else could she actually start healing. And that's when the recovery process actually started. She started to heal. She started to build. She started to grow a foundation of building blocks to be able to actually start recovering from this addiction that she had. Because if we're not honest with ourselves, then we don't know what problems we have. And if we don't know what problems we have, then how are we going to start working on fixing them, right? So if you're not honest, you don't know your problems and you don't know what to fix, how are you going to try to grow and how are you going to build on whatever your negative qualities or the negative aspects of you are? So it's really important to be honest with yourself and get honest feedback with others. That way you can start improving. Number 3 is the opposite of addiction is connection. And this was the name of the episode. This was the quote that she threw out. And I think it's absolutely crucial, especially in our society today, because we sometimes get the false sense of connection when we scroll through social media. We see what other people are up to and we see people's Instagram stories, people's Facebook posts and all these sorts of things. So we feel like we're getting human connection, but nothing can outweigh actual in-person conversations with people, actual connection, actual feelings, actual emotions, actual personalities that we can vibrate off of and we can jive off those sorts of things with actually being face-to-face, person-in-person with these sorts of relationships. So make sure you're making a dedicated effort to getting around other individuals and having that sort of connection with them because so much today, guys, we are trapped inside of our own heads. I know I feel like that a decent amount. Do you feel like you're caught in your own thoughts, that you're thinking too much about what you're thinking about? If so, you might not be around enough human beings enough because the story that we tell ourselves, the stories that we replay over and over and over in our head, what am I doing with my life? Is this the right thing? These sorts of things. A lot of these stories are false. The stories that we tell ourselves very often are false, and we do not realize this until we start verbalizing, communicating it with others. When we start speaking out loud our true truth, only then do we actually hear it and are determined whether or not that actually story is true or not. So it's really important getting out of your own head by getting around other individuals, verbalizing with them and connecting with them. So again, my 3 takeaways. Number 1, leave what if off the table. Don't not go into a situation because you're fearful of what might happen, of failure, of judgment from others, because you're more regretful if you don't try something than if you do try something and fall on your face. Number 2 is be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, then you don't know the problems or the negative things that you need to start working on. And if you don't know those things, then you can't start making progress towards improving them. Number 3 is going to be the opposite of addiction is connection. Guys, the only way we can get out of our own heads and stop thinking too much about what we're thinking about is by connecting with other humans, having actual relationships, and expressing emotions and feelings with other individuals. Hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day. If you have not listened to Taylor Wesley's episode, her interview yet, please go back and listen to it. I promise you're going to get a lot from it because I've heard so much great feedback from other individuals. Please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, share it with a loved one, share it with somebody you think might be going through some anxiety, some depression, who you think might be trapped in their own head right now, and brighten their day up with this episode and with the interview with Taylor Wesley. And that way, both you and them can start working on being your best you. Have a good one.